the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Welcome to the Broadway Shuffle with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. I am Brennan. We are joined, a special guest to join the show to start this edition of the Broadway Shuffle. A good friend of the show, Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports, is here to give us his thoughts on the Texas Tech Arizona State game this weekend. Shehan, how are you doing, man? Thanks for coming back on the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And I will say, I've been in Riverside many times. I don't think I've ever had to see it go 5 wide before.
This is new. This is new. It's great. Yeah. We love it. We've had to do it a few times because there's 4 of us. We have some guests on. But, man, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but when we had you on, you are still our highest viewed episode in the history of our channel. And we've had on some pretty stout guests. We had on Joey McGuire. So, man, you're kicking the competition out of the water. So I know that we'll get you a plaque or something to put on the wall behind you.
Well, you got to make sure that Joey knows I outdrew him. I'm the bigger draw right now.
You are, which I will definitely make sure he knows. But, man, Texas Tech, by the way, and if you haven't, if this is your first time, Shehan with CBS Sports does a great job, wrote a fantastic piece on Texas Tech. We'll put it in the link again in this video too. But, man, that was preseason. That was about the anticipation for the season for Texas Tech. And here we are 6 games in, and they have lived up to the hype. They're 6-0, 3-0 in conference. And you had got an up close inside look at this school before the season. Are you surprised at all by what you're seeing so far 6 games in for the Red Raiders?
Not really, to be quite honest, right? I mean, this was the conversation all offseason, was they had a chance to do something really special. And the biggest thing that they wanted more than anything was they wanted the opportunity to not be in close games against non-quality opponents. And that's what we've seen to this point, right? Is obviously that Utah game was very competitive. They pull away. But every other game has basically been kind of, only in second gear. I mean, that Kansas game is a great example. They jump up 18-0. Kansas does some little frisky things, and then they just rattle off like 25 straight points. Like, this is what it was supposed to look like. Now, execution is always a little different than theory, but it's completely lived up to the hype. This is one of the best defenses in the country. This is one of the best pass rushes in the country. And this is the most realized version of it, I would say, but it's not necessarily a surprising one.
Shehan, talk a little bit about, the matchup that, the Red Raiders will be looking at as they head into Tempe. Arizona State's 4-2, still got all of their goals ahead of them. Maybe a little bit disappointing to start to the season. What are you kind of expecting out of that game? How do you envision that one playing out?
Well, let's start with obviously what I feel like they're really good at. I mean, I think they have probably still the best wide receiver in the Big 12 in Jordan Tyson. His numbers have been half a step below what they maybe were early in the season, but I don't think that's through any fault of his. But he is a big time player. He's much more of kind of a slot guy. He's somebody who runs great routes, great speed, finds space at a very high level. And he's somebody who I think is going to definitely provide some mismatches, even against a very, very good Texas Tech defense. On the other side, this defense fully healthy had a lot of interesting pieces, and they haven't been very healthy this year. Xavier Alford's been out for several games for them. He was a big time player, but they're still very good up front on the defensive line. CJ Fight is somebody who's going to be playing in the NFL someday. Clayton Smith, Prince Dorba as edge rushers. Like, these are really good players who can cause some issues for this team. But where I think that Texas Tech is really going to be able to make their hay is this has not been a team that's developed many receivers outside of Jordan Tyson. In fact, there's only one other receiver on the team who has even 105 yards receiving. The next 2 after Jordan Tyson are a tight end and a running back. Good ones, but tight end, running back. And I think the other thing, too, is I really feel like Texas Tech's going to be able to eat this Arizona State offensive line. They've struggled. Obviously, Sam Leavitt missed the last game with an injury. I'd expect he plays, but certainly no guarantee at this point. And I think that Texas Tech is going to be able to cause a lot of trouble.
Great answer. Thanks.
Yeah. Shehan, you obviously cover the college football and the Big 12 pretty closely. What has been your initial thoughts on the Big 12 this season? I know it's a wide open league for the most part, with the exception of probably Texas Tech being at the top. Has it lived up to what you thought it would be? And who would be your 2 picks to play in the Big 12 championship in Arlington? And maybe even 6 weeks or 7 weeks into the season, who's your Big 12 champion so far if you had to predict the rest of the way?
Yeah, it's funny to go on a Texas Tech podcast and it feels like they're downplaying what Texas Tech is doing. I think, don't worry, you're not being a homer by saying that they've superseded the rest of the Big 12 right now. That's a real thing that's happened. No, but I think that Texas Tech certainly you slot in one of those spots in Arlington. Long season ahead, they got to finish it out, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that Texas Tech is clearly that team right now in the Big 12. The race for number 2 is really interesting. I think that honestly, it may come down to those two teams in Utah. Obviously, I think Utah outside of that Tech game has looked really good. Arizona State without Sam Leavitt last week, but they pulverized them. I mean, in the trenches especially, it was a really big time performance by Utah. And I'm really excited about BYU. Obviously, they needed a late comeback against Arizona in a tough road spot. I think Arizona's looked really good this year, but through the first 6 games or so with a true freshman quarterback, with a lot of new pieces on defense, like they've looked really good. They've got one of the best linebackers in the country in Isaiah Glasker. And I think that this is a team that has the upside for sure to go and contend for the Big 12. So I think that, and it's ironic, they play this weekend, right? I think the winner of that game takes over that spot as the number 2 team in the Big 12 right now. Of course, plenty of teams can get back in. Arizona State, still very much alive. TCU, I really thought was going to be one of those teams. Obviously, they have a brutal performance against Kansas State last week, but they have the upside to get back in. Baylor has the upside to get back in. There's a couple of teams that I think are right on the precipice of breaking through, but I think that it's Texas Tech, the Utah teams, and everybody else right now.
Shehan, I will tell you this, we have been accused of being Texas Tech homers, and to be honest, this year we're totally okay with it because like you mentioned, this is a year in Texas Tech football like no other before. And so if that's what the viewers accuse us of, we'll own it this year. We're just really enjoying the 2025 season so far.
Our title does say a Texas Tech sports podcast, to be fair. It is specifically Texas Tech.
It's in the name.
So it's in the name, yeah.
Zooming out from this season and looking bigger picture, it seems like Tech has clearly taken the top position as far as recruiting and like a program that recruits like they are expecting to contend for the playoff. What other school or schools do you anticipate joining Tech in the future?
Well, I think what's unique about Tech right now is the way that monetarily they're prioritizing the trenches. There was that quote from James Blanchard, the GM, who's like, if one school thinks that a 5-star lineman is worth $300,000 or $400,000, like I might think he's worth 7 or 8. And I think that that's been our strategy that's worked really well for them. I expect some other programs, not just in the Big 12, but nationally, to replicate some of what they're doing. And obviously, they also have, at least reportedly, signed guys to multi-year contracts. That's unusual at this point in history, though. Again, I think that a lot of schools are going to follow in the coming years. So all that to say, they're in a very unique position because of it. But a couple of schools that I'm really keeping an eye on in the Big 12, right? I think that BYU is recruiting at a very high level right now. They're going to have to find that balance between football and basketball, like so many schools are going to have to.
Sure.
But they, I think, have done a really good job of, obviously moving money is one piece of it, but 2, I think, also creating a really, really good strategy for how to approach it. They have a 5-star quarterback, Ryder Lyons, committed, who, is going to be a big-time player for them in a couple of years. I think that all of the Texas schools are in a really good spot for the most part. From a recruiting perspective, actually, Baylor, my alma mater, is doing a really good job. They've got 3 top 100 players committed right now, including top 40 guy, Marion Vincent, or Carlton. Sorry, they have 4 kids committed whose name are Jamarian, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Unreal.
I don't know. I need to do a story and figure out if there was a Jamarian boom somewhere. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, Jamarian Carlton from Temple High School is the top 40 kid. But so they're doing a really good job of kind of being in that top conversation as well. And again, like TCU is always going to be competitive. I think that we're going to learn a lot about the state of Oklahoma State with what happens next. They certainly have the upside to do it. And Utah as well, I'd be remiss not to mention. Again, they're probably heading into they're probably going to be heading into a post-Kyle Whittingham era after 2025 would be my guess. But they're going to be in really good shape, I think, regardless with how much they invest in that program.
Shehan, I'm going to promote you a little bit. You have a show called CFB Insiders that I have recently fallen in love with, man. It has got all kinds of inside info on college football. It's you and a really big group of A-listers that are in the college football reporting world. You guys have done a lot on the coaching carousel, and I wanted to kind of zoom in a little bit on the Big 12. Are there any jobs in this conference that you're kind of keeping your eye on as November gets closer? The ones that I think of maybe are, Baylor, TCU, obviously Oklahoma State already opened up, but then, potentially Arizona. And then, like you said, Kyle Whittingham at Utah. What are your thoughts on the coaching carousel potentially starting to spin up again in the Big 12?
So I think overall, obviously, disaster can strike. I think Baylor and TCU are probably going to be okay. I think that Baylor's had a really tight, tough start to the year, but I think that they're going to finish better than I think people may think. I mean, this is a really good team right now. So, and also I mentioned the recruiting class as well. They're recruiting at a very high level. I think that gives people optimism. Totally. I don't think TCU is going to open, but again, we'll kind of see where it goes from here. That Kansas State game was not good. Arizona also, I think, in pretty good shape for the most part, with what Brent Brennan's done through the first couple of weeks. The couple that I'd be keeping an eye on, obviously Oklahoma State is open, like you said. This one obviously would not be a firing. This is obviously just kind of with his health situation. Colorado is kind of an interesting one to keep an eye on, just because, obviously he dealt with Coach Deion Sanders, of course, dealt with prostate or bladder cancer rather over the off season. Fought back from that. I mean, incredible stuff. Obviously, hearts go out to him. And then it sounds like there's been a little bit of recurrence of some of the vein issues that he's had in his legs. And again, I mean, I don't think it's speaking out of turn to say, like, it's probably not as fun to be the head coach of Colorado when you're not coaching your sons and you're not coaching Travis Hunter, right? And so I think that there's going to be a reasonable conversation. I think he's done a really good job for the most part. I mean, again, they pull an upset over Iowa State a couple weeks ago. That's pretty crazy stuff. And on that point too, two jobs that I would keep an eye on opening in terms of their coaches could be candidates elsewhere. Matt Campbell obviously going to always be a candidate, but there are a couple openings that if they really prioritized him, I think he'd actually consider. Like Penn State is one of those jobs I think he would legitimately consider if he was approached for that job. Obviously he's turned down a lot of very good jobs. I think he'd need a job that he feels like is great. The other, and this is kind of a more particular situation, Lance Leipold at Kansas has really strong ties to the state of Wisconsin. If Wisconsin opens, he might be somebody who could slide into that kind of role. But again, none of this is certainly decided at this point. And Utah, who you mentioned, obviously as a retirement candidate, they have a coach in waiting in Morgan Scaley, who was part of their offensive coordinator hiring process, bringing over Jason Beck. So that would not be a search if that did end up happening. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Great info. Thank you for that.
It's going to be a crazy coaching carousel for sure, but Texas Tech seems to be okay, which is important. Joey McGuire doing great things here. Shehan Jeyarajah, man, where can we find you? Z mentioned the CFB Insiders Twitter handle. Anything else you want people to check you out on?
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms, but primarily Twitter, of course, Shehan Jeyarajah. You can read all of my work over at cbssports.com. And yeah, you can check out College Football Insiders wherever you get your podcasts. We go Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Usually I'm on the Thursday and Sunday shows.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for your insight on Arizona State and Texas Tech and being not a fan, but a supporter of the cause, I guess you will, and a fan of our show at least. We appreciate you being here. You're welcome back anytime, man.
Hey, anytime they keep on winning, people message me and are like, "Oh man, I learned so much about it, and I guess it's really coming true." So I'm certainly not a regular fan of it, but I'll tell you what, it does help me out whenever they keep on doing well.
For sure, man. You're associated whether you like it or not. So welcome, man. Well, have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much for having me.
Man, Shehan Jeyarajah at CBS Sports. What a blessing, what a fan to have of our show to come and contribute, and great insight across college football, not only the Big 12, but nationally landscape as well, but covers the Big 12 primarily. Again, if you haven't had a chance to read the article, we'll put it in the link, but it was fantastic. And just, it's so fun, man, that we had him on before the season talking about the potential of Tech, and here we are getting him back 7-8 weeks later, and Texas Tech has accomplished to this point what he had written about and what the investment meant for the program. I mean, it's just like to actually do what he said could potentially happen is so exciting. Still a long way to go, but up to this point, it's been super exciting.
Well, Brennan, I'll say this, it was great having him back on, but there are 4 other individuals that also said that something special could happen in Lubbock, and we're all sitting right here as well. So kudos to Shehan, kudos to us as well for predicting what has happened so far with the Texas Tech football team.
Yeah, man. Well, we're going to get into our predictions. We're going to get into our top 25. If this is your first time at the Broadway Shuffle, the four of us are the regulars. But so Shehan's not always here, but we love when he can join us. But Zyler, Clayton, Conrad, and Brennan, if you're listening on Texas Tech Plus, Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, make sure to hit a like button, subscribe if you enjoy the show. We appreciate you tuning in wherever you are. Arizona State, man, we talked about this. Let's get right into the game and what we think. We've circled this game for a long time. It was kind of the Utah game and this game on the show me what you're made of type games. Now, Arizona State coming in a little more beat up than we thought. Maybe not as good, not to overlook them, but 4-2 coming in 2-1 in the conference, get demolished against Utah 42-10 without Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt will be giving it a go, it looks like, this weekend. We are recording this on a Tuesday night. You'll be listening to it on Thursday or Friday. So news might break. So if you are listening to this and that changes, we apologize. But thoughts, Z, I'll go to you first on the Arizona State Tech game this weekend, what Shehan said kind of, and where do you think Texas Tech needs to focus this Saturday in Tempe?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to start the conversation with Sam Leavitt. You saw, if any of you watched the Utah game, I mean, they're just a completely different team without him. They unfortunately, or I guess fortunately in our case, do not have the luxury of having Will Hammond as their backup quarterback. There is just a massive drop-off to Jeff Sims, and I mean that with all disrespect. He's just not even close to as good as Sam Leavitt, and I think they agree with that. They would agree with that assessment. If Sam Leavitt's not playing, you're gonna beat this team by 30 plus. He's the linchpin to their hopes in this game, and I don't think that's my opinion. I think Arizona State fans would share that. The one item that I would note: Ben Coleman, their best interior lineman, who had been playing center for them and then moved over to left guard, he was knocked out of the game and he will be out for the season. The Arizona State guys that I listen to, they call him their third best offensive player, and that's behind Leavitt and Tyson. He is a very good piece for them. He's graded out as one of their best. They're going to roll out a guy named Jameto Ogbigo, who has not been very good at left guard, and they'll have a relatively inexperienced center. That is just not, that's something that I think we should keep an eye on, is just what that interior O-line looks like. But this is a good Arizona State team. Don't let that Utah result fool you. They took down TCU. They were really competitive on the road against what has become a pretty good SEC team in Mississippi State. They went on the road and beat Baylor. This is a good team. There's really no way around that. And they've got the best offensive player you've seen all year in Jordan Tyson, future top 10 NFL pick, Jordan Tyson. Very, very solid team. We'll talk about the defense here in a little bit, but that offense is going to be good. They're going to be explosive. And I think this is the best quarterback you've faced all year, if you get a capable and mobile Sam Leavitt.
So Clayton, Shehan mentioned the offensive line for Arizona State, not very good. And so that's a great sign for Texas Tech's defense. We talked about it on our reaction episode to the Kansas win, that this is your calling card. It's officially what's going to potentially win or lose you a championship. You expect domination on that front for Texas Tech to continue on Saturday?
Yeah, I do. I think pretty much any offensive line in the Big 12 would have problems with this defensive front, but Arizona State has definitely struggled. Utah, like you mentioned, kind of beat them up in the trenches. They've given up, I think, 17 sacks on the year already. And to put that in perspective, Kansas had given up 5 sacks going into the game last week, and we gave them 9 sacks. So I think they're going to struggle in pass protection. I feel like that really puts a ceiling on what they can do offensively, because I don't think they have as creative an offense as Kansas. And also, like you said, I don't think they have the playmakers other than Tyson. And I'm blanking on the running back's name. I think both of them are
Kyson Brown.
Yes.
It's Kyson. And they have Kyson and Raleek. There's 2 of them.
Raleek, yeah, is who I was speaking of. I think those guys are really good. I don't know if they have the other pass catchers to combat the pass rush that they're going to see.
Conrad, to kind of go to Tech's offense, just a transition away from Arizona State's offense to go to Tech's offense. Baron Morton, key storyline for Texas Tech in this game, obviously. If he's not able to go, confidence level in Will Hammond, and even if Baron is ended up suiting up and starting for you on Saturday, which we expect, confidence level in Baron and his ability to stay healthy on Saturday.
confidence level in Barron's ability to play well is different than confidence in Barron's ability to stay healthy. And I think that would be the sentiment of every Texas Tech fan ever. That's not Barron's fault. It's just the hand he's been dealt and ran with his whole career here. I'll start with his ability to play well. I have no qualms at all with him being able to play well. I think he would play well if he's able to play, and hopefully he is. I think he'll execute the offense well. He'll hit the receivers that are open. He's done that all year. He did that against Kansas. Confidence level to stay healthy, that's a your guess is as good as mine kind of thing. I mean, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong of us as Texas Tech fans, especially at this point in the season, 6 games in, to just say, I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. It's just like, what's going to happen next is kind of my thought. Again, that's not a negative take towards Barron at all. It just seems like things keep falling in a way that's unfortunate for him. And I hate that I'm even maybe saying that and expecting that at this point. But until I know he's going to play through it if he can, but man, it stinks for him. And I can't even imagine how frustrated he is at this. You know, obviously Pine Bluff, Kansas, it's like, man, senior year, playing great all year. Stats say, you know, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and yet this just keeps happening. And so I say that as a Texas Tech fan who believes in Barron, who's very frustrated for him, but also just kind of sitting here looking at this team saying, man, I'm really kind of tired that we're still having this same conversation. But again, that's just what happens when you play football. Will Hammond, I think, is the future of the quarterback position at Texas Tech. Has showed he can play he can throw it, he can run it, he can do everything. I don't think the game changes depending on who plays quarterback for Texas Tech. I still think you win, and you win handily if it's Will Hammond, if it's Aaron Morton, or even if it's Mitch Griffs. I mean, I'm very confident in this quarterback room.
What if it was you?
I mean, probably a 1-point win, but still a win against this Arizona State team.
Hey, Conrad, if you would have gotten the carry that Cameron Dickey got on the first play of the Kansas game, how many yards would you have gotten?
That's a good question.
Like 12, maybe 13.
Oh my!
No way, dude! You running in full pads.
Joey even said in this press conference that he could have gotten, I think he said, like 10 yards or something like that.
Joey says a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so do I.
That's fair. Conrad does say a lot of stuff. Hey, real quick, I wanted to pose this question. I forgot to mention this if you're listening for the first time. Clayton and Zyler will be boots on the ground in Tempe, 3:00 Saturday on Fox. Guys, are you going to dress as Arizona State fans and throw objects on the field multiple times? That's really the question we've got to know.
Actually, I'm calling it an airstrike in the middle of the second quarter. So we'll see how many yards that gets us.
Yeah, but
I loaded up at Bass Pro Shops. I got pocket knives galore, and they're all going on the field.
Are they going to write Rec Tech or something? Like you've got to have a signature thing.
It's going to say Forkum.
What is their saying?
It's going to say Forkum.
What's their hand signal? I don't even know what it is. There you go. Yeah.
So I will say I don't know how people root for a school with a mascot who's the devil. That's a whole different conversation though.
Is it just?
I was actually born in Tempe. I'm heading back home. That is where I was born.
Homecoming.
So you were born in Tempe?
Yeah.
I thought you were born in Lubbock.
No.
When did y'all move to Lubbock?
I was a young lad. I was like 6.
Okay.
You care to share your social too on the podcast as we're divulging personal information? Okay.
No.
I didn't know that, dude. Wait, that's actually crazy.
I always forget. It's Tempe, Mesa, or Gilbert. One of those little Phoenix
Beautiful.
suburbs.
The Arizona State sororities are going to be happy to see you back.
Yeah.
They've been missing me.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of fun for you boys. You guys be safe out there. All right, be careful.
I'm excited. If you see me or Clayton, come say hi. We'd love to talk. We love talking to fans. It's always good hearing from you guys out in real life.
It's gonna be fun getting a perspective from that game on the. I cannot wait for our reaction episode on Monday. It's gonna be a blast.
Everybody always says Clayton is taller than you think he's gonna be. So when he's 6'3", don't be so shocked.
I wish
You're
I had
giving
that
me
problem.
a couple inches on that.
I wonder if people think that I'm shorter than they might expect. I don't know. But yeah,
5'3".
it's gonna be 5'3". They look at me, call me the Hobbit, and move on. They have to.
Or
look
the
down.
Leprechaun, as some people called you that
I've
one
been
time.
called a
Remember?
leprechaun.
No.
One of the most humiliating stories of that is we were playing at Highland Park. It was like our big rival game in Dallas, and I was shooting free throws, and I just get chanted like Leprechaun, Frodo, Hobbit, and I'm like, it was just, I'm like, wow, I really am that short. So it was a humbling day. But man, it's going to be interesting here as well too. Like, this is a game. It's not necessarily like a trap game. It's exciting because we were kind of worried about that for Houston a little bit. Like, are you just kind of going to overlook Houston on the road? But Arizona State, like, this is a game that's been circled. You beat them last year before they made their run, which turned out to be one of your more impressive wins of the entire season. We would not have said that after I remember our reaction episode last year. It wasn't like we were really super impressed you beat Arizona State. Turns out you should have been. This is a game where if you win this game, you've firmly stamped and eliminated two of the top contenders in the Big 12 so far in Utah and Arizona State on the road. So even on a national level, Tech continues to rise, ranked 7th in the AP poll. We'll show you here in a second where they rank in the Broadway Shuffle poll. But I mean, another opportunity for Texas Tech just to make a statement on national TV.
Yeah, a funny stat. You are the only team in Big 12 history to beat Sam Leavitt as a starter in Big 12 play. Nobody else has done that. They lost to Cincinnati and he didn't play, and Utah beat them and he didn't play. Sam Leavitt is otherwise undefeated in the Big 12 except against you. So they've got this game circled. The other thing that's kind of important about this, and I know that there's a lot of football left. You're not even 40% of the way through the Big 12 season. But if Arizona State wins this game and you win out, Utah wins out, and you win out, and everybody wins out, you will lose that tiebreaker, just based on how records and stuff have are projected to shake out. So it's a big one in that regard. Now, I don't know that Utah and Arizona State are all going to go 8-1. That seems pretty unlikely. But just from that sense, you do want to make sure that you get this win. You can kind of bury them. They'll be 2-2. That's going to be really tough for them to come back from. Really big, important game for you. And I think probably the hardest remaining road test that you have on your schedule.
Okay, so I kind of disagree. And I know Kansas State is not what we thought they would be, but they did just demolish.
It's a house of horrors. It's a house of horrors for two
that's
teams.
Exactly my point. Like in November in Manhattan, going on the road, are you more? And I know we're looking ahead here a little bit, but are you more concerned with this game or the K-State game? Because I'm kind of looking at the schedule like, okay, Sam Leavitt's kind of banged up, not a great offensive line, not a team super known for their physicality. I don't know. Like, I'm a little more concerned for the Manhattan game in November than I am this one. Is that wrong to say?
I don't know. I mean, they are literally right next to each other in SP Plus. I feel like if it weren't for the injuries, I would still consider this a tougher game. I totally get the Manhattan thing, but like Joey's only lost there once, and it was whenever Barron went out mid-game, right? Or am I thinking of that incorrectly?
Yeah, it was. When was that? That was 2022, and we should have won that game. Like, we were really in that game. We kept making a bunch of stupid, which goes to show you what Manhattan's like. But
yeah, that's very true. But all these players haven't even played there. I mean,
yeah. And I know it's
Brennan
a different
makes
team.
a good point.
It's a different,
Kansas
but it's just
State,
like the weather could be different. K-State's physical at home. I know they've sucked this year.
They're underrated. They are not as bad as their record says.
Can I make one simple point that we'll move on to the next topic of conversation?
Yeah.
Matt Wells is their offensive coordinator. Next topic.
All right, let's go. Let's get right to over-unders. We'll switch the topic. But yeah, I don't know. And I'm just looking ahead. But see, to your point on telling the story of this game and what a win like this could mean, Oklahoma State at home the next week, right? So not too concerned about that game. Then you get the K-State game. Or no, I'm sorry. Then yeah,
you do.
That's right. Then you get the K-State game and then BYU. And so at home. And so you are looking at like a win this week and then the win in Lubbock against Oklahoma State. You'd be 5-0 in conference play at that point. I mean, you'd be looking really pretty
with UCF and West Virginia
in West Virginia your schedule. So like in my mind, you win on Saturday. It's not over. It's not like it's done. You've still got to play 5 games, but 3 of those 5 games, you are going to be a massive double-digit favorite. Maybe even BYU, you might be a double-digit favorite. So it's going to look really promising for the Red Raiders if they can come out with a win on Saturday.
I was texting Clayton and the guys about this. You might be a 40-point favorite against Oklahoma State. I don't think people realize like how bad they are this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned at that game.
Yeah. And let me say, that's no disrespect to Coach Wells. It's just, that's
Oh, that is
reality,
disrespect to
and it
Coach
hadn't
Wells.
really worked out all
It is
that well.
disrespect. Just own the
You know,
fact that you.
yeah,
you
Well,
meant
I'll just say I'm
disrespect.
very happy that that decision was made, and we have Coach McGuire now. I will say this: barring any more injuries, obviously Skylar and Barron, more notably Skylar, just because his injury is more long term. We don't have set things on that. Wish him well. Barring any more injuries, I truly am just like I know we can find reasons to be skeptical about this game or that game, but I am sorry. If I was a left tackle or right tackle and I had to block David Bailey, I'd just run the other way, because that just, and Romello Height. I mean, they're just, you're not stopping those two guys. And like you could walk into K-State right now, and I think you would absolutely just destroy those tackles with those two guys. Now that's true for most teams in the country, in my opinion, with these Texas Tech defensive edge rushers. But I don't know if it's this unhealthy level of confidence that so many of Texas Tech fans have, but how could you not be confident? I guess things could go crazy in Manhattan, but I don't know, and this could date really badly, but I'm just not all that worried about about Saturday or about Manhattan.
We won't save the recording just in case, Conrad, in a couple of weeks. But Z, Tech's offense, confidence going into Saturday for Tech's offense.
I don't know. I kind of get the weird feelings based on our passing offense. It's kind of been, you did really well against Houston, and then it was kind of just weird against Kansas. It worked really well with Barron, and for whatever reason, it didn't really work well with Will. And I think you caveat with the fact that you were up quite a bit, but I don't know. That's just something that I didn't really work well last game. Is it going to work well this game? Because I think you're going to have to throw the ball against this team. They've historically had a pretty good run defense, and I think it's a little bit inflated this year. It's like, oh wow, you held TCU to minimal rushing yards. Like, that's a team that they run the ball because they feel like they have to. They don't want to run the ball.
Yeah.
You held Baylor, and it's maybe that's a little bit more impressive. But Utah was able to run all over them. You're not going to be able to replicate what Utah did. You don't have that offensive line. I think the running game, though, is really important. You got to get Cam going. You got to get Jacoby going. But they play their defense through their linebackers. Jordan Crooks, Martell Hughes, those are going to be guys that are going to be big pieces for them. And it looks like the two safeties that went out in the Utah game are going to play. They were practicing today. And so that's another big kind of boost for their team. Xavier Alford, like Shehan mentioned, the best safety they have is going to be out. But it's a good group. Keith Abney is a really good cornerback. They've got good players. I mean, this is a team that, like we said at the beginning of the year, they won the Big 12 last year, and then they brought pretty much everybody back. They had a top 30 defense. Like, this is not going to be a team that you just get to walk up and down the field. I think you're going to have to play well. You're going to have to execute well. And most importantly, you're going to have to limit turnovers. Don't give them short fields. So just be prepared for that. They've been kind of middling against both pass and run so far this season, but I still kind of believe in this unit and what they're going to be able to do. I think it's pretty much on par with Houston. That's kind of what I would expect. Expect some red zone trouble, and expect to not just be able to move the ball at will. Maybe Houston's a bad example of that. Maybe Kansas is a little bit better example.
Okay. Well, we'll see, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you'll have to let us know about the environment too. So, all right. Well, it's time, man. Let's get to some predictions. I'm excited to get to a lot of these games. What a slate we have in college football this weekend as well, too. A big game. I want to actually start in the Big 12 with the Holy War there in the state of Utah. BYU and Utah. Shehan mentioned it. Winner of this game, probably the co-favorite with you to play you in Arlington. So overall, what do we think is going to happen in the state of Utah? Which Mormon is winning, the Utes or the Cougars?
Man, give me the Utes. I think BYU is a little bit smoke and mirrors on offense right now, kind of magically dancing their way through this schedule. I think Bear Bachmeier is a freshman, and I think he's going to be good. He's just going to give you some freshman mistakes. I think Morgan Scalley and the Utah defense is going to get him more often than Bachmeier gets Utah. Give me a low scoring game though, like 17-9 Utah wins. That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I'll take Utah as well, but I agree. I think it's low scoring. I think the defenses show up. I feel like BYU, kind of as Zyler hinted at, is a lot like BYU of last year, but I feel like they might get exposed a little earlier than they did last year. I think, what did they make it, like 9-0 before they lost last season?
Yeah.
I feel like this next stretch, I can't remember who they play between Utah and Tech, but I know they play TCU and someone
Iowa
else
State.
tough.
They play Iowa State.
Yeah. I feel like, well, I actually do expect them to be Iowa State, but I feel like it could get rough for them starting Saturday, so I'll take Utah.
Yeah, I'm going to take Utah as well. I think that Utah defense makes Bo look a little less than stellar. I will say, too, a quarterback wearing number 47 is just really hard for me. I want BYU
Embrace it, man. Embrace it.
I cannot. 47.
He plays like a 47. He really does.
I know so it fits. That's what I'm saying. It looks strange. So I'm going to take Utah for that reason alone. No, I think Utah's a better team. I think Utah will win.
I like the Utes too. Man, they've demolished everyone they've played except you. So it's just it hasn't been close.
Starting with UCLA.
Starting with UCLA, which doesn't look as, I mean, it wasn't a good win, but it looks a little better than it did a couple weeks ago.
Dude,
now, you know,
bad
so
of a coach was Deshaun Foster. Is this like an all-time bad coach, or
might be? They're 2-1 in the Big Ten so far, you know, with the win at Penn State. So
they would be nothing funnier than UCLA somehow getting a playoff berth this year, like somehow
running the table in the Big Ten. That'd be awesome. Okay, let's go TCU Baylor. Conrad, I know this one's going to be real hard for you, but you got to pick one. So who you got?
Punt. I can't pick. Tie. Give me a tie. That's not even possible in college football. Where is the game? Oh, that doesn't matter because there are going to be no fans either way. I'll say TCU. I think TCU will win.
Okay, I've got Baylor because I like Sawyer and what he's doing with the Bears. Give me Baylor.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And they'll be alive in the Big 12 race. They'll get to 3-1 if they win that. TCU goes to 1-3 if they lose. I agree with Shehan. Dykes is not getting but if the season melts down, like I don't know, maybe Dykes. I don't know. I'm just going to be watching. I'm going to be monitoring.
One can hope, right? Well, we'll keep following the story.
The reaction episode is in the queue. Don't worry.
It's ready.
Don't worry.
We'll pre-record it just in case. All right, let's get to some of the big national games. Lots going on in the SEC to Conrad's delight. Two top 12 matchups between four teams here. Georgia, Ole Miss. Does Ole Miss prove they're legitimate against Georgia this weekend?
That game is in Athens. No, the Dogs will win. Alabama beat Georgia in Athens. Alabama is not Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not Alabama. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Dogs.
Yeah, my analysts take Trinidad Chambliss struggles in that environment. They cover, but they do not win. Georgia wins something like 31-27.
Clay, I like the Dogs as well. You going 4-0?
Yeah, super high scoring though.
I like it, man. We're all in the same. We're all in sync tonight. I like this. Let's see if we can keep it going. USC Notre Dame. I feel like we're going to switch it up here. I like the Irish in this one at home. USC has not proved they can win these types of games on the road just yet. We'll see if the story changes, but I like Notre Dame pulling it out.
Yeah, this is my bet your mortgage and then take out a deposit or an advance and bet the other part of your paycheck on Notre Dame. They're going to smack USC around. They need the style points. They are in the playoff right now. They have to win 8 games in a row to make the playoff, and they're going to prove it again against USC.
Yeah, I'll take Notre Dame, but I would take out a third mortgage and I would put it on the over in this game. There's going to be so many points scored.
Lots of mortgages
Agreed.
coming out this week.
Yeah.
Be careful. Conrad, you going with your boy Lincoln?
Have y'all ever seen that meme of the guy standing up alone and everybody else is around him? It's been circulating a little bit on Twitter recently. If I could stand up, I would stand up and I'd give you the fight on. I think USC is going to shock the world. They played really well against Michigan last week in a sold-out Coliseum. Crazier things have happened. I think USC gets it done, and we see the rise of the Trojans back to prominence. Yes, they did lose earlier in the year to Illinois, but I think they looked really good last week. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but they looked fantastic, and I think it's going to continue this week, and they're going to go shock the world. So,
Conrad, I have a question. Why do you not talk about Jaden Mayava in that tier of elite quarterbacks?
The ball just doesn't come off his hand the same way. I think he's a really good player. I mean,
he's like leading the country in QBR, right?
Yeah, he's one or two. I mean, he's a great quarterback. It's just, for me on this show, with the amount of hate I get for, loving the SEC and Arch Manning, I just need to pick my battles and not put myself out there too much with you guys, because you will come after me.
We'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's actually a good answer. Good answer.
So,
yeah, well, that's fair, Conrad. All right, final game, Alabama, Tennessee. Tennessee comes in 11th, Alabama 6th. Quickly, I'm going Bama here at home. In Tuscaloosa, I like them knocking off the balls.
Yeah,
Conrad,
go Roll Tide.
Ty Simpson's Heisman campaign continues. They win by 10 points, and they beat the Tennessee Volunteers.
Clayton, you going Roll Tide? Come on. Hey,
Tennessee's
Bama's
defense is not good enough.
Fun fact, I don't think Nick Saban ever beat 4 straight top 20 teams in a row. So if Kalen DeBoer can knock Tennessee off this weekend, he'd have something under his belt that Saban did not. A little mini win for him with all the hate he's been getting out there for not winning championships.
I'm going to go ahead and get this out there in the ether. We should not look past the fact that Alabama somehow lost to this Florida State team. That game still counts.
Yep.
It should still be on their resume. What in the world is Mike Norvell doing down in Tallahassee? What is going on?
Wild to see.
They're 0-3.
He's going to lose it. He's getting fired at the end of this year.
Especially if
his buyout is more than James Franklin. It's like $58 million.
Dude, Florida State is trying to save up for a buyout to get out of their own conference.
Crazy, dude. They are in a tough spot.
I will say, was the SEC were the polls as biased when Saban was the coach as they are now?
Yes.
You think so?
Definitely for most of the back half of his career, for sure.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, we'll see, man. All right, well, that leaves one game that we have yet to predict, and that is Texas Tech against Arizona State, Saturday, 3:00 in Tempe. Clayton, Zyler, you'll be there. You expecting the Red Raiders to come out with another road victory and move to 7-0?
Yeah, I will. I'll take Tech to win in a big shocker. I think the pressure. I think your defense. I mean, you're great at stopping the run. You're great at stopping the pass. Arizona State has struggled to throw the ball. I think Leavitt's going to give you a couple turnovers, especially if he's just hindered a little bit. He's a dynamic athlete. I think he's going to get his, and I think Jordan Tyson's going to get his. I think that offensive line and the issues they have there are going to be too much to overcome. And I think you were able to score enough. Give me Tech 41-17 in a game that's closer than it feels. Maybe you score late to kind of really put the game away. But give me the Red Raiders.
I will take Tech as well. I'll take a little less scoring than Zyler. I'll go 34-14. I do think Leavitt's going to be under pressure all night. The offensive line's going to struggle. I just can't pick an offense to score more than like 17 because it hasn't happened yet. So I'll go 34-14.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Clayton. I have picked, I think, the score to be more than the opposing team to score more than they have every game. I picked 20 for Kansas. It was 17. So I'm going to go Texas Tech only giving up 14 points. We'll see if they keep just making it where I have to keep going lower each week. But I've got Texas Tech here 38-14.
Yeah, I was going to go Texas Tech to win this game, but I've just had a late change of heart. I think Arizona State is going to do something spectacular on Saturday. I think Sam Leavitt proves that he is – no, I can't even continue. Texas Tech 55-10. We're going to absolutely run them out of their own stadium. It's not even going to be close. Texas Tech is the class of the conference, and honestly, it's a top 5 team in college football. I think this team is just – that good. I think we're gonna go ahead and do something really special on Saturday against the Arizona State Sun Devils. So give me Texas Tech to win this game.
It's going to be a fun one, man. Again, we've talked about what this would mean if you're able to come out of there with a win on Saturday. Hopefully the boys stay healthy. It'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, let's close the show with our top 25, the Broadway Shuffle top 25. You'll see it up on the screen. We'll run through it real quick. We have got Texas Tech at 6, just behind A&M and Alabama. Our top 10, we've got Ohio State, Miami, Indiana crept into the top 3 for us as well after the win at Oregon. A&M stays right there at 4, and then Ole Miss, Oregon, Georgia, Tennessee rounding out the top 10. We've got BYU in the top 15. Cincinnati moving into the top 20 at 19. And that looks to be the only Big 12 schools we've got. Where's
Utah at 18.
Utah at 18.
Right above them.
There they are. There they are. So
You still have two other Big 12 schools in there, Texas and Oklahoma.
you're right. And them too. So
Did y'all see the Brent Venables and Big 12 back and forth
yes,
today?
dude, that was
Yeah.
awesome. What a tweet.
That was so funny. Like, OU fans are mad at Lincoln claiming all these like Heisman quarterbacks, which were totally his, to his credit. And yet he's trying to claim that like, oh, this isn't the old Big 12. I wouldn't even hear it. I wasn't even the coach. I just think that's a little, I don't know. I think that's a little, maybe some logic issues there on the OU side. But I digress.
It is crazy for
I'm no
Venables
expert.
to be taking shot. Like, OU did win a lot of conference titles. Let's just get that out of the way. They did.
Yes.
Venables was not good against the Big 12. Like, he was objectively terrible. And it's
Right.
just so like, did Joey have a better record in conference play than Brent Venables did?
For sure.
Somebody
Especially
might have
that
to
first
fact
year.
check me on
When we
that.
beat him that year.
He's
I'll
never
look
gone
it
worse
up.
than 5-4, so maybe it's tied.
We went
Yeah, but with
6-3
the
though, last
talent
year. I'm trying
OU
to
had,
think.
going 5-4 is still pretty embarrassing.
That's true. So, yeah, look it up, Clay. But anyways, there's our top 25. We're hoping we move Texas Tech into that top 5 here at some point soon. Maybe after this week, we will see. But
Brent Venables was he was 3-6 one year in the Big 12.
okay, so Joey's got
So
it.
tough.
There you go. All you
Wow.
need to know right there. What? That's a great way to end the show. Just pump
Yep.
up Joey and down OU. What a better way to close, man. Well, hey, Clayton, Zyler, you guys have a lot of fun, man. We cannot wait. Take some pictures, post it on our social. Let everyone know what you guys are up to, as long as you're not getting too much trouble in Tempe there on Saturday. But we can't wait to hear your opinions from the game. And make sure to like this video if you enjoyed the show. Follow on Spotify, Apple, Texas Tech Plus, and all of our social medias as well. You can find them in the link. TikTok, Instagram, X, you name it, we're there. We will be back on Monday for our reaction to Arizona State. So everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the football weekend. Enjoy watching the Red Raiders there at 3 o'clock. And we will see all of you back here on Monday. Everyone have a good weekend. Wreck 'em, baby.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 15.